Yes.
And that was around 9 o'clock in the evening, right?
Somewhere that sounds right.
Well, that's what you told us. Can you give us a closer approximation?
No.
So you go there, and one of the things that you said is that you've got a strawberry drink, something like that?
Yeah, strawberry frappuccino.
And while you were there, you call Mr. Burns, right?
I don't know if I called him from Starbucks, but I know we talked a few times that night.
And the plan was still for you to go up to Utah, right?
Yes.
And if you were to leave Pasadena at about the time that you said that you were going to leave, you would have arrived up in the West Jordan area at about maybe 10, 11 o'clock the next morning, right?
If I drove straight through, I think that's right.
It's about a 12-hour drive, I think is what you testified to, right?
That sounds right, yes.
But in talking to Mr. Burns, you never told him that you were not going to go straight to Utah, did you?
Judge, I have a question about that.
No, because I was going to go.
So the answer is no, you didn't, right?
No, I didn't tell him that.
In any conversations prior to arriving in Mesa that night or the next morning, you never communicated to Mr. Burns that you were going to take a detour, did you?
No, I didn't.
And you never contacted Matthew McCartney to tell him that you were going to take a detour, right?
I attempted to contact him before I decided to drive out to Mesa, I think.
Answer is you didn't let him know, though, right?
No, he didn't answer.
The bottom line is he didn't know either, right?
That's right.
And Mr. Brewer, you didn't call to let him know that either, right?
I think I called him too. I called both of them because I couldn't find my car charger or my phone charger. It was a phone charger.
You called both of them, but you didn't let either of them know of the change in plans, correct?
Say that again.
You called both of them at whatever time, but you never informed either of them of the change in plans, your supposed change in plans, right?
Yes, that's correct.
One of the things that you took on this trip, of course, was the gas cans, right?
Yes, I did.
Right. The other thing that you took when you took this trip was that you also brought a gun, didn't you?
Absolutely not.
Well, do you remember having a conversation on June 10th of 2008 with Detective Flores of the Mesa Police Department?
Yes, I do.
You initiated that call by calling him first, right?
Yes, I did.
And after you called him, he called you back, right?
Yes.
And I think previously you said, well, I called him to sort of find out what was going on with the investigation, right?
Yes.
That was one of the reasons, right?
Yes.
You wanted to know what was going on, right?
Yes.
And during that conversation, you and he discussed a number of things, right?
Yes.
And during that time that you were talking to him, part of the purpose was, at that time, again, not only to get information, but the way you put it was to also sort of cast suspicion away from you, right?
Yes, for the time being. That was
Well, that phone call, one of your objectives was to get the detective to look somewhere else, right? Not you.
Yes.
And we know the reasons, but some of the reasons was that you didn't want to be incarcerated or be involved in the prosecution for this particular killing, right?
That would be accurate.
And so what you were doing, part of this telephone call, was in your best interest. In other words, you were trying to do things that benefited you, right?
I wouldn't put it like that.
Well, you were doing things so that he wouldn't see you as a suspect, right?
Yes.
So if he didn't see you as a suspect, that would benefit you, right?
I guess it depends on how you look at it.
Well, no, I'm asking how you would look at it. If you don't want him to think of you as a suspect, that's the goal. That's part of the goal, right?
That was part of the goal for the call.
Right.
Yes.
That was part of the goal for the call. And so you wouldn't say anything, at least in a planned way, you wouldn't say anything that would make it look like you were a suspect, right?
I would attempt to not say anything.
Right. And it would be based on the world of knowledge that you had at that time, right?
I guess.
Well, no. You wouldn't call up and say, oh, I was the person that killed Mr. Alexander. You're not calling to say that, right?
No, I wasn't ready to say that.
No. And you're not calling to say, you know, you really should look at this part of the desert because that's where I threw the gun, right?
No.
No, what you were trying to do is you were trying to say, look, I'm giving you all the information that I know so that you can look at somebody else, right?
I wasn't thinking of somebody else, just I was thinking not me.
All right, I'm giving you this information so that you don't look towards me, right?
Yes.
So when you are doing that, you wouldn't purposely say things to hurt you, would you? Hurt your case.
I don't know.
You think that you would purposely say things to hurt your case?
Probably not. That wasn't really my goal.
No, that wasn't your goal, so you really wouldn't, would you? But you, right?
I didn't consider it my case, but no, I wouldn't say things intentionally to hurt myself.
Okay. But you and he did talk about whether or not Mr. Alexander owned a gun, right?
Yes, I did.
And at that time, you did not know that you were being tape recorded, do you?
I assumed I was.
You assumed it was, but you didn't know, right?
I was told it was.
Who told you that it was? Did the detective tell you in advance?
An attorney told me.
In advance of you making the call?
Yes.
So you knew before you made the call that your conversation with the detective was going to be taped, right?
They said they are, yes.
So all the more reason then, knowing that it's going to be taped, it's all the more reason for you to be on the lookout, if you will, or be careful to not say anything to, incriminate you.
Yes.
Right? And so, knowing that, you still made a statement about a gun, didn't you?
Yes, I didn't follow the attorney's counsel.
I'm not asking you whether or not you followed anybody's counsel. I'm just asking you, ma'am, whether or not you made a statement involving a gun.
Yes, I did.
And it isn't like Detective Flores came looking for you, right?
You mean physically?
No, called you. He never called you first, right?
First, no, he didn't.
No, you were the one that actually sought him out, right?
Yes.
And he returned your call, right?
Yes.
At that point, for all you knew, he didn't even know that you even existed, for all you knew, right?
No, I already knew that he knew.
Well, how could you possibly know what he knows, ma'am?
I was going off of hearsay.
Well, but you don't really, it's what people tell you, but you don't know what he really knows, do you?
Do I know what he knows inside his head? No, I don't. But I knew that he knew about my name.
No, that's what you believe, but you don't know that, right?
That's what I had a strong belief.
All right, and so you made a statement, and that statement is Exhibit 273. Let's listen to it.
Can I call you again if I need more information or if I have another question? Do you have any questions I can answer for you?
Yeah, do you know when all this happened? I mean, I got a call last night, but is there any word on...
Sometime between Thursday and last night. We're not sure yet. We haven't pinpointed yet.
And you said that maybe multiple people, because he's a big guy. Maybe you can't talk about this, but was there like any kind of weapons used, or was there a gun? Was there?
I can't say what type of weapon was used, but yeah, I'm guessing there was a weapon used by the type of injuries that were left behind. Do you know of him having any weapons at all in the house?
His two fists.
That's it?
Really?
No.
Yeah.
Okay. No handguns or rifles or...
No, he wasn't one to keep any of that I knew of.
Fighting
He's
knives
good.
or anything like that?
No, he was more into like wrestling and UFC, and he had he said he had just bought a punching bag and
Yeah.
He's like, I love punching the crap out of my punching bag, you know.
Yeah,
But-
that's what I'm...
That was you on that recording, correct?
Correct.
And that was you talking to the detective about whether or not Mr. Alexander had any handguns, right?
That's right.
And that was you saying at that time, the day after you were notified that his body was discovered, that's you saying, no, he doesn't have any guns, right?
Yes, that's right.
And that was the truth, wasn't it?
No, that wasn't the truth.
Are you saying that you lied to him again?
Yes.
So whenever it doesn't suit you, it's a lie, right?
That's not true.
Well, let's review. When you spoke to him back then in June 10th of 2008, you talked about a lot of other things, right? You talked about what was going on with the case, right?
What little he could tell me, yes.
And what little you could tell him, right?
Yes.
You talked about your relationship with Mr. Alexander, right?
Somewhat, yes.
Right,
We didn't get into a lot of detail.
right. You talked about potentially when his body was found, right? Or when it happened, right?
Yes.
And it's clear from what the detective was saying that at that point, he didn't even know when the killing had occurred, right?
He gave a time range.
Actually, he said it Thursday. Do you remember him saying Thursday?
Yes,
It wasn't Thursday that it happened, right?
that's correct.
So when he said Thursday, you knew he was wrong, right?
I thought he was lying, but yeah.
Well, but you know, you knew that was wrong,
I
correct?
knew that was not true.
You had all the cards when you called, or you had all the information when you called the detective. Isn't that true?
Barring my memory gaps, what I knew, yeah, I had information.
You knew that you had been the person that had killed him. You knew that, right?
Yeah,
You know that you had been there on June 4th, right?
yes,
You know what had happened when you arrived there, right?
yes,
So you knew all of